Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, FPL Consult here, and welcome to the Game Week 25 deadline stream. Apologies for being late, I see some of you guys in the chat already. I was just setting up just before the stream, so nice to have all of you guys in the chat so early. VJ and Henry, as always, some of the earliest all the time for the stream, so thank you both for coming early. Talking about captaincy, I see you guys. Yeah, I mean, captaincy this week, I have the vice on Haaland, but I'm going to just shift it over to Gabriel. So captaincy for me is still on Bruno Fernandes. It's been on Bruno Fernandes for a while, but I'm going to vice Gabriel. That's likely what I'm going to do. And yeah, so talking about my team first, before we get into any of the questions, mostly for game week 25 I haven't made any transfers. I'm in a position where I fortunately enough I don't see a need to use them. It was really the only player I was considering removing was O'Reilly, and I've decided to just bench O'Reilly and play Rodon instead. And yeah, roll the transfer, go to game week 25 with more flexibility. Yeah, and aside from that, I'm quite happy with the rest of the team as other than Rodon. Hopefully he keeps a clean sheet against Nottingham Forest. Unlikely, but one can hope. And for the rest of the team, I'm happy with the Arsenal triple up that I have. It's Raya, Gabriel, and Rice. A lot of people are talking about what's the best triple up for Arsenal right now. And it's more of a debate whether you want to go with 2 defenders and 1 attacker in Rice, or go for 3 defenders. My suggestion is, I would say in general that I am never fully comfortable tripling up on a particular defense. But then again, this is the Arsenal defense that we're talking about, one of the best defenses in the league this season. And for game week 26, arguably they do have a very good set of fixtures where I think they could keep a clean sheet for both of those games. So I can see the appeal, but generally as the way that I approach the game, I think it's I would say a little bit of more spreading of risk by going for 2 defenders and 1 midfielder. So I would say I still prefer 2 defenders and 1 attacker. So I'm on the side of, Raya, Gabriel, and Rice, or Timber, Gabriel, and Rice. I'm on kind of that boat. On Timber, there was some doubts as to whether he would start in 25 because he wasn't pictured in training. But the good thing is that Arteta has said that Timber is fine. Right, so even though he wasn't pictured in training, I don't know, maybe some of the mind games again, but Timber is fine. And he will be, not necessarily that he's going to start in game week 25. I mean, the likelihood is that he will, but I don't think it's impossible that with some load management that, he gives way for Ben White just to get some rest, because there are lots of games coming up for Arsenal. So I don't see that as impossible, but I also wouldn't let it scare me off too much. So I think Timber is fine for this week if you have him. Less of a doubt, more so that now Arteta has said he's fine. So yeah, and then Chalobah and Enzo, I brought them both in last week. They have Wolves this week. Rogers hasn't been returning since I brought him in, but I'm hoping that he turns the corner, and so do Aston Villa. They've had a bit of a drop-off recently. Bruno Fernandes is the captain. I just think he has too many routes to points. I got a question from one of the members earlier today saying, why not captain Enzo instead? But my response was more that I think last week, to be frank, Enzo owners like myself, I think we got a bit lucky with that last-minute goal. Majority of the game, he was playing quite deep next to Caicedo, and it was really that last burst into the box that got him the goal. I am completely aware that he is capable of making those runs during the game as well. But I would say that I expect him to again play in a deeper role, and therefore I wouldn't be as comfortable to captain Enzo as I am Bruno Fernandes. And I mean, one of the other routes to points that Bruno Fernandes has is DEFCON, and Enzo is just not as good for DEFCON as well. So That's the thinking that I have. Up front, it's Haaland, Thiago, and Ekatike. They don't particularly have very good fixtures, all of them. But I think specifically for Thiago and Ekatike, very soon they go on a good run. And I don't want to be using transfers on them. So it's more of a case of, being patient, sticking with them this week. On the bench, I have Anderson. I'm trying to find a way to fit him in. Whether that is benching Thiago against Newcastle away or finding some other way to get him in. I have been trying the whole week to fit him in. So I don't know exactly if I'm fully comfortable with Anderson being first on the bench. Not ideal. Not ideal. I don't like it that he's playing Leeds away and he's on the bench. But then again, if I start him, I'm hoping for something from him, but I have Rodon as well. So I may as well just try and maximize the points by, benching Anderson and hoping that Rodon keeps a clean sheet. Okay, so that's pretty much with my team. 2 free transfers in Game Week 26. I'll be filming a Game Week 26 transfer plans video. I'll share a bit of my transfer plans because I probably will use 2 free transfers in 26. That's one. But I would likely also be activating a chip. So I'm not going to spoil it. I will leave that for the Game Week 26 transfer plans video. But yeah, for Game Week 25, boring as it is a roll. Okay, get to the questions. By the way, if you guys are watching, thank you for coming down. Please help me out and drop a like on the stream. That would be lovely. I see some members in the chat. Very nice to see all of you guys. Josh as well, nice to have you in the chat. Been a while, I have to say. Any transfers? Nope, we are not making any transfers. We are doing the boring thing of rolling this week, but I think it makes sense because I'll have 2 free transfers to attack those fixtures next week. Okay, let's get to the questions. Start Cash or Senesi? I would start Matty Cash this week. For what it's worth, I don't think that Bournemouth keep a clean sheet. I mean, they haven't kept a clean sheet in a while, I would say. Against Wolves, they did, but that was one in a long period of time. Dorgu to Timber and Bruno Guimaraes to Sarr for a -4, good or bad? I don't mind those moves. Bruno Guimaraes to Sarr for sure is fine. Dorgu to Timber. I mean, at the end of the day, you're kind of taking out players who are, I guess, in a way, problems for your team, and a -4 for that seems justified. Mbumo or Verts? I think I'm slightly leaning towards Mbumo here. Rogers or Krupi? I would start... Krupi has been doing really well, though. But Rogers or Krupi... I mean, I would say that I would be less comfortable benching Rogers than I would be Krupi. I mean, I know Krupi just scored, but I would be less comfortable. I wouldn't be very comfortable benching Rogers this week. Captain Bruno or João Pedro? Also, if you have João Pedro, I think it's a slightly different conversation. I think it boils down again to what matters for you, and if it's kind of like form and the fixture, then I think João Pedro is the one to go for because he has the form, he has the fixture as well. The other train of thought would be, is having different routes to points more important for you? And if that's the case, then Bruno Fernandes is just someone with so many... I mean, I don't have to go on a broken recorder. Many people have already said that he has different routes to points. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of your what you prioritize. And I would say that I would prioritize the routes to points, right? I mean, penalties, that's one thing that Bruno Fernandes has over João Pedro. DEFCON as well. And also, he gets the extra point for a clean sheet. He gets an extra point for scoring a goal. I mean, all those things add up, all those things add up. A. Ong says, hi FPL Consult, should I start Lacroix, Senesi or Goodmanson? Out of all those, I would say it definitely boils down to Lacroix or Senesi. And between the two, I think I back Lacroix to keep a clean sheet more than I do Senesi. So yeah, that's the answer. Tiger Guna says, "Hi consult, start Haaland or Semenyo for Garner or Van Heck, please." Haaland or Semenyo for Garner or Van Heck. Okay, I wouldn't bench Haaland. That's what I'd say for either of Van Heck or Garner. Semenyo, yeah, I would start both still. I would start Haaland and Semenyo ahead of Garner and Van Heck. That's the thing. I mean, I've seen people say that they want to bench Haaland this week. I don't know. I just don't see. I mean, I could as well, right? I could say that I want to start Anderson ahead of Haaland and bench him, but I don't think I'm very comfortable with that. I don't think I'm comfortable with benching Haaland. It could be more of an effective ownership kind of play as well, like just to kind of protect your rank a little bit. I mean, it depends, right? What are you playing for? But to protect your rank a little bit, I probably would just start Haaland even with difficult fixture. It's not impossible that he walks away with, I don't know, potentially 1 goal and 1 assist, and we are already not captaining him. Then those kind of, teams that are inactive and already have him captain since, I don't know, game week 1, they're just going to hurt your rank. So I think it's more an effective ownership play that will still start Haaland. For Semenyo, I think he's in good enough form for me to start him ahead of Garner and Van Heck. So, yeah. Okay. 2 free transfers. Anderson to Rice with 1 free transfer, but want to keep Anderson for future. Instead, should I use both transfers to sell Lefay and bench Elliot Anderson? Is Rice essential this week? Should I roll? I don't think Declan Rice is essential this week. I mean, I think the main reason why people are bringing in Arsenal players this week, even though the double is next week, is because of the Sunderland at home game. Right, so that's why people are just trying to make a decision right now. And would I say it's essential to have Declan Rice this week against Sunderland? I would say no. I think it's more essential to have triple Arsenal by the time game week 26 comes around. So if you have perfectly good, players in place of Declan Rice, like, I don't know, you have Mbumo, Enzo, Rogers, and Fernandez kind of a setup, I don't think you have to kind of, go out of your way just to get Declan Rice. But surely by game week 26, you would want triple Arsenal. But yeah, I just wouldn't go so far as to say it's essential this week. Start Morgan Rogers or Igor Thiago. I'll put Rogers ahead of Thiago this week. Kim Deutsche says, "Hi Leon, flying the SG flag high. Thank you very much for the support. Would you do Gakpo to Mbumo for a -4? Gakpo to Mbumo for a -4. Have 2.5 million in the bank. Other mids are Bruno, Wilson, Enzo, and Rice. This may be going out on a limb here, but my transfer next week is actually to bring Ismail Assar in. So I would actually say I prefer, if it means that you're holding off that -4, you're not taking that hit, you're keeping Gakpo and then doing Gakpo to Ismail Assar next week, I think I prefer that. I quite like Crystal Palace's fixtures and Ismail Assar being on penalties. John Hambleton says, "Hi mate, best defender to buy now. Buy 4 now to game week 32 wildcard. Senesi, Anderson, Darlow, Munoz, anyone else already have triple Arsenal. Up till game week 32, I like the Bournemouth fixtures. I like the Crystal Palace fixtures. So I would say I would prioritize someone like a Munoz or Lacroix. I mean, some people seem to think that Crystal Palace is washed, but I don't think so. I mean, every time I bring up a Crystal Palace player, people seem to think that they're done and out. But I still think that they have good players, and I still think they are a good team with a good manager. I expect them over the next few game weeks to get good results. When the fixtures are good for them, I expect them to get good results. So yeah, I'll probably say Munoz, Lacroix, that's my priority. Even like someone like Senesi. By the way, Senesi is I think on 7 yellow cards, so you will have to get till game week 32 without him hitting the 10 yellow card mark. That's just a side thing. But yeah, Lacrosse and Munoz, those are the ones I go for. But that's the issue this week, and that's why I'm not doing O'Reilly out to a defender. Like the Crystal Palace fixtures this week is Brighton. It's not an easy fixture. For Bournemouth, they play Aston Villa. That's also not an easy fixture. That's why I'm delaying the move to next week. So if it's not essential for you to buy a defender this week, I probably wouldn't. Start Anderson, Krupi, or Van Heck. Definitely not Van Heck. So it'd be Anderson or Krupi. I would definitely prefer the attacker to the defender. Between the two, I think it's tricky because Anderson is really good for DEFCON. Like his floor is pretty much 4 points. But for Krupi, he has to score a goal to outscore the Anderson for 4 points. Very tricky. I think marginally, I would say Anderson over Krupi. Marginally. Sell Lefay to Zubimendi. Nah, I wouldn't go Zubimendi. Start Munoz or Zubimendi. I would start Munoz. Bench 1 of Dallos, Nessie, Rodon. I have Rogers playing Bournemouth, FYI. Dallos, Senesi, and Rodon. I mean, I know that you have Rogers playing Bournemouth, but Senesi is much better for DEFCON than, Dallo and Rodon. I would still actually start Senesi, And then if it's down to Dallo and Rodon, I think honest thoughts is I think both concede, but I think Dallo has a better chance of a clean sheet. So that's probably what I do. Start O'Reilly. Excuse me. Start O'Reilly or Vandenberg, or bring in Timber for -4. I think I'd probably take the -4. Yep. That's where I would lean to. I think I'd probably take the -4. O'Reilly, Vandenberg, I mean, I wouldn't be happy starting either one of them. And either ways, if you take a -4 now, you have an extra week with the Arsenal player. He could pay off the hit this week, and then you're already good to go for 3 Arsenal players next week. Interesting pick, Thiago over Anderson. Why? I have the same dilemma. I think for me it's really just pens. I think basically the ceiling for I'm fully aware that the ceiling for Thiago is greater than that for Anderson. Anderson's floor is higher. So I'm just trying to play the upside here. And another factor is that I'm playing Rodon. So I'm actually wanting Rodon to keep a clean sheet. I know that doesn't necessarily mean that Anderson would blank, because he could very well go on and get 2 defensive contribution points and mop up 3 bonus points. That's what we saw last week. I know that's completely possible to happen. But for me, I think Thiago over Anderson still. Yeah, I just play the ceiling then. Selwyn Hip Hop says, hey mate, struggling with the decision to bring in Trossard to try and catch up my league. Semenyo out for money in the bank, or Wilson out for nearly exact money. Trossard is interesting. I think out of all the other midfielders, if you don't go for Rice, I think Trossard is where I would go. Would you sell Semenyo for Trossard or Wilson for Trossard? I mean, the thing with Wilson right now is that he has a decent fixture. I mean, it's Everton, if I'm not wrong. It's a decent fixture. But I think to be honest, I would probably take money out of Semenyo only if you need it elsewhere. Only if you need it elsewhere. If not, then I think probably Wilson to Trossard. But I think another way to think about this is that I don't think it's absolutely necessary to make that transfer this week. I think you could wait till next week. You could play Semenyo this week, play Wilson this week, and then wait until next week to do your transfer of Wilson to Trossard, which would then make more sense because Wilson doesn't have a good fixture from next week onwards. Thank you very much to VJ who has been plugging the channel. Please do help me out and drop a like on the stream. Let me just have a look at how many likes we're on. We are on 18 likes. Man, that is tough. That is tough. If you guys could help me out and drop a like on the stream, please, that would be lovely. That would be lovely. Hi, Consult. Gordon's slightly injured. Will you put Richards versus Brighton or Mane against Chelsea for the first bench spot? I put Richards. Thanks. Sell Semenyo this week. Who should I bench between him and Wilson? I would start Semenyo ahead of Wilson still. Yeah. Best free hit team this week. I didn't actually make a free hit draft, but I imagine lots of Arsenal players, lots of Chelsea players as well. Maybe not as many City assets. I think the other fixtures to target in terms of your in terms of your free hit will probably be Manchester United. I think this is where you can go Mbumo and Bruno Fernandes. And yeah, like an outside shout for Jared Bowen is there. Yeah, pretty much. Those are the teams I would attack. Those are the fixtures I would attack. G Tan says, Hyla, who would you start between O'Reilly, Alderete, and Estev? I mean, it is the lesser of all the evils there. Probably O'Reilly. Raptor26589 says, bench 1, Senesi, Krupi, Hall, and Rodon. Out of those, Rodon. Do you think that playing a free hit next week is good or holding out for the free hit? I would still save the free hit for. I mean, I as much as it's rather, I would say, template, I just don't see a compelling reason to deviate from the very template chip strategy of wild carding in game week 32, bench boosting in game week 33, free hitting in game week 34, which is the blank, and then triple captaining in either game week 36 or game week 26, which is next week. I don't see a very compelling reason to deviate from that because unfortunately this season the doubles and the blanks are more predictable than it has been last couple of seasons. Like the last couple of seasons, even during this period of 25 all the way up to I don't know 29, there was more blanks and more doubles because of other fixtures or other postponements coming in. So I'd say this season there's just not really much to push me to do something otherwise. I think last season I did try to do something different, and I think I free hit it in a week that wasn't as popular. But yeah, this week I just don't see a reason to. Or this season I just don't see a reason to. Will you make a transfer from Wilson or Rogers to Enzo this week? No. I wouldn't sell Rogers or Wilson to Enzo this week. Starting Raya, Gabriel, Elderete, Chalobah, Semenyo, Bruno, Wilson, Enzo, Thiago, Haaland, Ekatike. Yeah, I think that's fine. I probably will start Anderson ahead of Alderete. I'm assuming it's Joachim Anderson because of the way you spelled it. So I'll probably start Anderson ahead of Alderete. Hello mate, Senesi or Michele? Who do you prefer up to game week 31? I think it's Senesi because Michele, unfortunately, the fixtures start to get a little bit tougher from this week onwards. He's been a legend though. He's been a legend. Do you think Enzo or João Pedro is worth -4 or even a -8 for both? Definitely not a -8. -4 is probably the max I'd go, but again, it depends who you're transferring out for. Choose one: Van Dijk to Chalobah or Garner to Mbumo. Van Dijk to Chalobah or Garner to Mbumo. I think I like the. Again, it depends, right? Like, who else is your defenders? Because actually next week onwards, I don't mind starting Van Dijk for a couple of weeks. I think I would say Garner to Mbumo and then keep Van Dijk this week. Preferably not start him, start someone else, bench Van Dijk. But then next week onwards, I'd be pretty happy to have Van Dijk. Like, same for Ekatike. Like, I'm happy to have Liverpool players from next week onwards. Pulse Driver says, "Hi Consult, great stream. Thank you very much. Question for you: should I bring in Timber to bench Bruno Guimaraes? I have Sunderland defenders and midfielders sitting on my bench already." I think yes. The news of Bruno Guimaraes being fine is. I mean, he's coming back from injury. He seems like he'll start against Brentford. But again, I don't think I would bench Timber ahead of Bruno G. So therefore, your question is to bring in Timber to bench Bruno G. I would say yes then. I mean, because either ways you would want 3 Arsenal by the time game week 26 comes around. And you're just having Timber now for the Sunderland fixture, which is, I think, better than having Bruno Guimaraes just back from injury to play against Brentford. So yes, I mean, long and short of it is, I would say yes to the transfer. Billy Hartono says, "Hey Leon, should I bench Senesi versus Villa or Theo versus Brentford?" I would bench Senesi versus Villa and start Theo against Brentford. Will Phil Foden start? Great question there. Great question there. Only Pep Guardiola knows. That's the kind of issue that I have with like Phil Foden recently, and also on Shirky, and I mean less so Semenyo because I think Semenyo is pretty certain he'll start. But players like Foden and Shirky, like, you just can never be sure. Which is why I was happy enough to just sell Foden for Enzo last week. Like, you just can't be sure. And even now the fixtures are not good and you still have to worry about Foden starting. I just, take the chance to get rid of him. Thoughts on Palmer captain this week? Lovely fixture and a nice differential. I don't mind it. I think if I had Palmer, I would actually seriously give him some consideration. But would I captain Bruno Fernandes ahead of Cole Palmer? I would probably still say yes. Enzo for Saka or Enzo for Saka, Rice for Enzo Lefebvre. I think I would take the -4. I think I would take the -4 just about. What do you think of Jarrod Bowen for the next 3? I think those who have Bowen, I mean, I don't mind it. I don't mind it because West Ham are kind of on the up a little bit. And if there's any West Ham player that I have, it's either Jarrod Bowen or Somerville. But then again, I wouldn't say anyone should transfer Somerville in. So I'm happy with, if you have Bowen, I don't think you're worried. I don't think you're selling him. He has Burnley as well. Rogers to Enzo for -4. No, not for -4 this week for me. No Chelsea players. Should I do Keane to Chalobah, Xhaka to Enzo, and Thiago to Groupie for -4, or Thiago to João Pedro? I wouldn't sell Thiago because I think longer term you'd want him. Xhaka to Enzo is fine. Keane to Chalobah is fine. Of which one of these would I prioritize? I'd probably do the Xhaka to Enzo one. Toby, nice to have you in the chat. Let's go, GW25. Would you start Thiago or Njai? I would start Thiago. Saka is out. Yes, Saka is out. He's been out for a while. Start Anderson or Tarkowski. I would start... Ooh, this one is tricky, but I think this one I would lean towards the home team. So, yeah. Kentoichi says, start one of Van Heck. Sorry, two questions. One, start Van Heck, Rodon or Keane. Start Gakpo or Krupi. Gakpo and Krupi, I would say Krupi. Van Heck, Rodon or Keane, I would say Keane. Start Anderson or Senesi, I would start Anderson. Sell Semenyo to Cunha or Rogers, I would keep Semenyo. Wildcard active, Anderson. Next week, bench boost. That's interesting. I actually haven't seen a wildcard 25 bench boost 26 strategy, so that is pretty interesting. I can see then that's why you've gone with Sa. You have Mane as well from Wolves, and then you have your triple up Gabriel. Madueke is interesting. I would still go double defense, but I mean fair play, right? You're on a unique strategy. I hope that works out for you. Doichi says, by the way, your background looks different compared to your past live streams. Yes. So basically I'm just streaming from a different room and the lighting is just a little bit warmer. So I used to stream from a room with white lighting, but it is what it is. It is what. Hopefully it doesn't, affect the quality of your videos or the videos or the live stream too much. Let me know if it does. Play Haaland or Krupi. I definitely start Haaland. Brian, nice to have you in the chat. Says heard Haaland might not start. I think where did you see that Haaland might not start? I think I'm pretty sure Haaland starts. Pretty sure. Just a moment. Brian, I don't know where you've seen the Haaland news, but I think Haaland starts, man. Mickey Monkey Salapets says, hey mate, that's an interesting name. Says, hey mate, how are you doing? I'm good. I hope you're good as well. Would you start Senesi or Rogers or Elliot Anderson this week? Well, lots of kind of benching questions this week. I think a lot of people aren't actually making transfers unless you have like Saka, for example. But yeah, it makes sense that a couple of the players we've been holding are fine to hold for this week still. So I think it would make sense for more benching questions. Start Senesi, Rogers or Elliot Anderson. Rogers. If I have to choose one. If I am to rank, then Rogers, then Elliot Anderson, then Senesi. Top 3 replacements for Saka. Declan Rice. That's Declan Rice. I mean, I won't want to say the obvious ones. Like I don't want to say Bruno Fernandes. I imagine a lot of people already have him. I'd say Declan Rice. I'd say Mbumo after that, and then I'd say Ismail Assar. Rodon or Virgil? Oh, sorry, I have to put Enzo in there as well. But I'm saying from the perspective that, for example, if I had Saka in place of Rice, And I already have Enzo, Rogers, Bruno Fernandes. Who else would I go for? Yeah. But if I'm to rank right now, that's an interesting thought. If I have to rank every one of the midfielders, if I sold Saka, then I would rank such as Bruno Fernandes first, then Enzo Fernandez, then probably Declan Rice, then Mbumo, then Sa, then Rogers. Yeah, I might actually swap the order of Rice and Enzo. So Bruno Fernandes, then Rice, then Enzo, then Mbumo, Sa, and then Rogers. Yeah, in that order. That's interesting. Start Rodon or Virgil. I start Rodon. Want to play Haaland, but who to bench out of Thiago, Rogers, and Cunha? Cunha. I'd say Cunha. Pep said Haaland might not start. I mean, am I missing? I mean, because I streamed as the press conference was ongoing. So if I've missed something, let me have a look. I mean, that'd be the great excuse, right, for me to just bench Haaland and start Elliot Anderson. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Nah, nothing on that. So nothing on that though. I hope. Oh, I mean, I see that news. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, in the article, it literally says Haaland was rested, right, against Newcastle. And Mamouche was the one who came in, scored 2 goals. Guardiola was asked if Haaland would come straight back into the starting lineup, but he wasn't. He was not revealing his team. I mean, obviously. And then he says, Guardiola says, I quote, "Always I said Erling is the best striker in the world. I don't know if he will start. We will see tomorrow. Always I say Erling is the best." I mean, my interpretation of that, I can't see a world where Haaland is benched against Liverpool after he's been rested in the Carabao Cup. I just can't see it. I just can't see it. What is one player you gladly take a -4 to get him in for this week and also next week? The only player that I take a -4 this week is Bruno Fernandes. And I'm being serious here. That's the only player. Yeah, every other player, I think even if you have good enough players that you can bench, I think none of them are a rush to get. Even the Arsenal players, like it's not. Yeah, I mean, you've asked me not to include Arsenal players, so. Yes, I mean, Danica, I agree with that. Is it okay I select Gyökeres in a double game week and Gyökeres is just not where I would go. I'm not confident that he starts every game in the double. Team IDs, maybe you could drop your dilemma in the chat. I should start doing some team reviews, but the thing with team reviews is then I completely deviate from the. I guess I could. I guess I could, but yeah. For now, let's drop the questions in the chat. What do you think of Bowen captain is Rogue? Ricky, nice to have you in the chat. Says hi Leon. Between Anderson, Rodon, O'Reilly, which one to let go to bring Chalobah in? O'Reilly. O'Reilly. Hey Consult. Currently playing Haaland and Thiago with Bruno Fernandes, Enzo, Rice, and Semenyo in my midfield. Benching Krupi and Garner from my attack. I think that's fine though. I'm benching Krupi and Garner. I think that's fine. Is Timber worth a replace for -4? Timber's fine. Timber's fine. Bajo, who's a member, nice to have you in the chat, says benching headache, bench 4. Kelleher. Wait. Rodon. Van Heck Theo. Oh, bench 4. I assume that's Dubravka, right? Kelleher / Dubravka. If it's Dubravka, I would start Dubravka ahead of Kelleher. So you would be benching Kelleher, Rodon, Van Heck, Theo, Semenyo, Timber, Gabriel, Rogers, Evan Nielsen, Enzo, Haaland, Rice, Raul. Okay, I would bench Van Heck. I mean, I assume you have more players other than these as well, because you have more defenders, right? Timber, Gabriel. Yeah, that doesn't sound like it's your whole team. But out of the players there, who would I bench? I would bench Kelleher. I would to start Dubravka instead. I would bench Van Heck. I'd also bench Rodon. Yes. Bench one of Thiago or Rogers. Thiago, taking a punt to bench Enzo this week. No, sorry, taking a punt to captain Enzo this week. I misread that. Yes, that's interesting. Hi Gonzalo, hope everything is good. It's good. Thank you for tuning in. He says, what do you think of Calafiori as a pick for the next 2 game weeks? Selling O'Reilly with only 0.8 million in the bank. I don't think Calafiori is the one I would go for. I think for me, it is Timber. It is Timber that I would go for. I mean, after Gabriel, of course. Would you consider captaining Gabriel instead of Bruno? I mean, I've seen the captaincy debate going on about captaining Gabriel this week. I think I would still lean towards Bruno. Yeah, I think I'd still lean towards Bruno. I mean, I just see goals against Spurs. That's the thing. And whenever Manchester United score, I always back Bruno Fernandes to be involved in some kind of capacity. Hi Leon, if I don't have Bruno Fernandes, who should I choose as captain for this game week between Gabriel, Enzo, Palmer, Wirtz, and Haaland? You have Palmer is interesting. I think it's between Palmer and Gabriel, of which it's really close. Palmer and Gabriel. I would say, just to be a little bit safer, probably Gabriel. Pickford, Wan-Bissaka, Evan Nielsen, Timber on the bench, played bench boost. That looks like a pretty good bench, DM McNaughton, nice to have you in the chat, says, hope you're well. I hope you're good as well. I'm good. Team this week is Dubravka, Gabriel, Timber, Chalobah, Bruno Guimaraes, Rogers, Rice, Semenyo, Haaland, João Pedro, Ekitike. Subs are... I would actually sell Bruno G. I mean, it's not a must, but he's not for sure going to start. So in terms of your subs, I'd actually start someone like Matty Cash ahead of Bruno G, this week. Thoughts on the rumors that Haaland isn't starting? I've seen the quote. I mean, I've seen the quote from the press conference. I just can't see that happening. I mean, it's against Liverpool. Haaland just got a rest against Newcastle. If he's fit, I just think he starts. Like, that's the thing. Johnny Boy says, hello, brother. I'm in draft mode of FPL, wondering if selling Szoboszlai to Madueke as a 2-week punt and getting in a free agent like Mitoma, maybe after as Szoboszlai will be picked up by someone. 2-week punt. I mean, I don't really play draft, but what I'll say is, at least for these next few weeks, I do expect Madueke to start. So I think it's okay. And it's mainly only because you're in draft mode. That's why I'd say yes. But in FPL terms, like Madueke just would be too risky for a long-term pick. But yeah, the moment Saka comes back, you'd sell him. But for draft, I guess that's fine. David Morgan says, hi, make 2 free transfers. Elliot Anderson to Mbumo or Roll. Roll. I would roll. Yeah. DM McDonald says, already taken -4 this week. Not so keen to sell Bruno G just yet. So going to wait until Chelsea's good figures are over to have a good budget for replacement to Bruno G. Fair enough. Then I'd actually start cash, ahead of Bruno G. But that's up to you on that one. I think we're going to leave it at that. That has been yapping for about an hour or so. It was fun. Today's stream was a good one. It's a fun stream today. I mean, it always is. It always is. By the way, thank you all for recently me posting on my video saying that I've been jaded to record videos. Streaming, I think I've still streamed more often every other week, but videos wise, just been a bit jaded. But all the support recently on those videos have been very encouraging. So thank you all for that. And yeah, videos are back. So yeah, I'll catch you. I guess I'll catch you in Game Week 26 content that's coming soon. As I said, there will be a transfer plans video that I'll be recording. And I'll talk a bit about chip strategy as well, because I think I might triple captain in Game Week 26. Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, this is the team for Game Week 25. I don't think I'm changing it. I don't really believe the Haaland rumors. And even so, I just start Haaland, and if anything happens and Elliot Anderson comes in. But yes, captain is Bruno Fernandes ahead of Gabriel. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. So thank you for tuning in. All the best for Game Week 25. I hope you guys get green arrows. And yeah, I will catch you guys in Game Week 26 content coming very, very soon. Bye-bye.